So I'm going to open up something now that I've been extremely excited to open up for about the last 2 months. I bought this just in case I ever ran into like severe artist block. I wanted to have something that I could fall back on if I could think of just like nothing to draw or nothing to do. Luckily that never happened, so now we get to open it and have some fun. So that thing is a Super Spirograph Design Set. Oh yeah. So many pieces. It probably says how many pieces there are. How many pieces are there? 75 plus piece set with precision parts and pens. How precise are these pens? Because we're probably not going to use them. I think I have more precise pens. Let's see what we got. What, those pens are garbage. We'll see. We'll see if we're using those pens. We'll start with pens, though. That's fine. All right. Let's just crack into this baby. The original Super Spirograph Design Pad. So we get some paper. We get some more paper. And more paper. Let's see what this is. We get... What is Spiro Putty? I don't know what that does. We get a little design guide so we can see what we get if we use this. Oh, I want to do that. Let's do all these things. Oh man. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait. All right. Whoop. I think this is more paper. Yeah, more paper. Cool, 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 cool. Let's do some spirographs. I don't know if I ever had one of these as a kid. I don't remember having this. I think I had something like a spirograph. With putty, which I think helps us stick it to the paper. Let's see what we do. I think that's all there is to it. Ring, putty. Let's try it. No need to read instructions. We're just gonna burn through the paper that they gave us. Alright, I'm gonna start with something little and simple. Grab some putty. I don't know how much we really need this, but I'll take your word for it for now. Oh, that is nice. All right. Whoops. Ooh, messed up the first one. That's okay. It's okay. We live. We'll live. Okay, this makes it kind of like square deal. I need to take this much more slowly, I think. Man, that really comes off there really easy. All right, let's try it on the outside and see what happens. Oh, and these pens kind of bleed if you let them sit still for a second. It's not ideal. But that's fine. That's fine. We'll continue to experiment. What if I took this like big one, just went all crazy in there? Oh, that's what. See that? That's what I'm talking about right there. That is definitely what I'm talking about. Not the best start, but cool nonetheless. it really wants to slip under there if you're not careful. And it really wants to bleed if you stop. That is an annoying combination. But look at that. Oh, look at it. That is amazing. Okay, okay. I think we're getting the kind of gist of this. I think we're gonna call this one done because it's not going anywhere good anymore, if it ever was. Get our putty back. All right, that's done. Now, let's try it again. This time, let's try this thing. Okay, so I see. So if you move it nice and slow, kind of carefully, it'll sort of take care of itself. Oh, but then that happened. This is slightly more challenging than I thought it was going to be. Let's do a center one, that should be pretty easy. Okay, alright, we're gonna call that one done too. Not the greatest start, but we'll get there. Alright, I'm gonna play around. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna play around with these for a while and then I'll see where I get. Okay, so I think I'm starting to understand how this works. At least, I'm starting to understand how you can kind of predict what will happen. So, I mean, so these things are labeled by how many gear teeth they have, and they probably explain this in the instructions, but I didn't read it. Let's see, does it explain it? I don't know if they actually explain the math in here. They do say that they kind of go into this. But I don't see where they actually explain the math to figure out how many kind of points you're gonna get on your spiral. Okay, so they give you two different rings, and they have different numbers of teeth, and it says how many teeth they have on the outside or the inside. So it's 150, 105, and 144, 96. And so then these inner things, the little wheels they give you, have different number of teeth as well. So, for example, here's the 50. And it makes sense that, like, if you put the 150 down, this has 50 teeth, this has 150, so it'll go around it 3 times before it comes back to the beginning, because 150 is divisible by 3, or 150 is divisible by 50, which is 3. I might have skipped on the beginning, but it should line up right here. Yep. But that's a simple example. It seems like the actual sort of, in reality, it's going to be the least common multiple of the two. So like, for example, 105, this is a 40 and putting it into the 105, so it's going to be the least common multiple of 40 and 105 divided by 40 is how many points it'll have, which I can't do that in my head, so 21. So the least common multiple is 840. 840 divided by 40 is 21, and so this should have 21 points if we do it right. And if I'm wrong, This will not end up in a video. But I think I'm right. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So if you take the two numbers, get their least common multiple, which you can do in pretty much any calculator or just in a Google spreadsheet, or in Google, then you take the two teeth numbers, get the least common multiple, and then divide by the smaller number, and you'll get the number of points, or you'll get the number of more or less points on whatever sort of spiral star thing that you're going to get out of that combination. I don't know what to do with this information yet, but now we know how this works. I mean, I'm sure it's basically just gears, so I'm sure people that know how gears work would understand that, but I'm not one of those people. Or I wasn't before today. So let's do another one. Let's see. We have 45, and let's do that with the 105. So 45, 105 should be 7. Okay, so yeah, 7. Cool, cool, cool. Now some of them I've already noticed don't line up so well. Let me see if we can pick. So like, for example, this other one is on the inside 96. Or no. So some of them do not line up very well. I think you need to pair sort of the even numbered ones with the... So for the inside, you kind of want to pair, with the 96, you probably want to pair things like the even numbered ones like 72, 52, 56, because those are going to have a smaller least common denominator, or those are going to have a smaller least common multiple. I think, but with the 105, like, for example, so for 64 and 105, their least common multiple is 6,720, which is the two numbers multiplied together, which is the worst case you could get, meaning it'll take 105, it'll make 105 points. So it will take a lot of going around this thing 105 times, basically. This will spin 105 times. So for this combination, the little one will have to spin 105 times, and it'll go around 64 times. So let's see if we can actually do that. And I'm sure if you use these things a bunch, you kind of just get an intuitive sense of which ones go well together. Oh God, I don't know when we're gonna know if it ended. I mean, I think we still have a ways to go. It's starting to do like a little separate kind of overlap thing. It looks cool though. Just, you have to be very careful with this, I think. I'm so worried I'm gonna mess it up. Every time I've tried this one so far, I've messed it up. So yeah, this should have 105 points. I'm not going to count them. I believe it by looking at it. Yep, and I think we started back over. Bam. Look at that. That sure is something to behold. It makes me kind of curious what the biggest I guess the biggest combination that can happen is 105, because that's the biggest inside that we have. We could end up with one that has 150 on the outside, or 144. But I think Maybe I'll do a spreadsheet of them all and just kind of see where they end up. So this is useful to know if we want to do anything where we want these things to line up nicely. So for example, for my guide ring is 150 on the outside, 105 on the inside, and then the ring that I'm drawing with is 63, so I'll get 5 points on this. If I want something with 5 on the outside, I can look at my spreadsheet and find that with the 150, a 30, which is actually easy math because 30 times 5 is 150, will actually also have 5. And I mean, the numbers, you could do all kinds of interesting things, no doubt. So each of these little bumps is a rotation of this smaller ring. So then we could do something like, you know, sort of connect these or whatever you want to do. And then you can get some really cool patterns like that, I think. So let's play around with this some more. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of them that actually line up that nicely. But like, okay, let's take a look at, so I have the 105 and the 105, 150 one again. And then we could do something on the inner, because the inner ones tend to line up with each other nicer, or the inner ones tend to line up with each other nicer than the inner and outer ones. And it's just because the teeth numbers are different. Although actually, here, I'll use so here's an example where they do line up. So with a number more interesting than 5. So if I use the 56 on the inside, and there's also a whole thing about, this has little guide points, which I think help you line these things up. So like here, these guide points are lined up. So I have the one lined up with this number 4 guide point. I'm just gonna see what we get. So this should have 12 points. It should rotate 12 times before getting back to the beginning. There it is. Okay, and then if we wanted a 12 on the outside, so the 60 and the 144 will line up with 12 on the outside. So then I can go back to this number 4 and line up those points. And then we get these big bumps on the outside, which it should take 12 of these, so they'll overlap back with each other. It's really easy to mess these up. Especially on these outer ring ones, it's just so easy to mess it up. But it would have lined up if I didn't. I think I'm out of this kind of paper. I'm gonna try again on one of the other pieces of paper that they included. It's the 56 on the inside and the 64 on the outside. I'm gonna line it up. So then we start from the number 10. Now, the 60 on the outside, I'm also gonna line it up from the 10. I'm gonna be a lot more careful this time. All right. Let me actually, I'll switch to blue for the outside. Unfortunately, when you stop the pen, you kind of have to be slow and careful. So you kind of stop a lot, it starts to bleed. So I think in the future I'm going to be using different pens that don't do that so much. Or using different paper that won't show it so much. Not perfect, but close enough. All right, now so those are lined up fairly well. So then we can take this, connect it to the inside with some lines. These pens are actually kind of interesting. They flow really well if you do get the speed consistent. I'm sure they've worked on that. I wonder if you can get them where you can fill them with other ink. Alright. I said math isn't fun. Alright, so that was cool. I'm gonna now go ahead and play around with this some more and see what else I can come up with. So now I'm gonna use the 144/96 again and kind of using the 50 and the 75, which should give 48 points. So this should be interesting to look at. Oh yeah, this is gonna make a really crazy spiral. Oh no. I was putting too much pressure on it and sent it out of line. I'm gonna try and line it up again and just start over. I'm not too worried about getting this one perfect because I'm actually just curious what it looks like. So I'm going over it again. So it skipped over the starting point and is going back around. So it's like, now I'm thinking it's gonna be 24 one way and 24 the other. Or it's going to be like, yeah, 24 and 24. For the first time it was kind of offset. All right, I think we've gone back around. That does indeed look pretty cool. Okay, that's exciting. So now let's do the 75 on the outside and see what that looks like. So I'm kind of wondering is if I can get, that looks pretty cool. Okay. I'm excited about this. Let's see. Let's line it up down here. And I'm gonna do something not so far to the outside. Can we do like, use just this one. I mean, it's not gonna matter that these are two lined up because I don't plan on trying to connect them like I did the other ones. All right, so this is probably gonna take a bit of effort. It'd probably be a good idea to tape the paper down. In fact, I think I'm gonna do that from now on. I'd stop and do it now, but there's no way I won't mess it up. You can see how it's kind of just really slowly. I don't think we're getting that back, but you can get the idea of where this was going. I think I'm going to try this again in a different way. All right, so I'm gonna try doing this on watercolor paper. And then I'm gonna paint it in. You could probably get 2 of these out of one sheet. So let me cut it again. All right, so we get 2 shots of this out of that one sheet of paper. Let's see, I'm gonna tape this down. Okay, so I'm gonna tape this down and then let's see what happens when we do this on watercolor paper. This pen nib is actually a little thin for this. I was worried about other pen nibs being too thick, but this particular one is too thin. It has a lot of wiggle room within the hole to. It has a lot of wiggle room within the hole, so you can get little mistakes that way. Or as Bob Ross would say, happy little accidents. Although, something like this, I think we can have mistakes. Man, that looks awesome. I haven't decided how I'm going to paint this yet, but we'll figure it out as we go. there's 48 of these, so we can divide it in a few different ways pretty easily. All right, that's that. Wow, that looks awesome. Oh man. All right, this is definitely a thing. Okay. All right. Let's do the outside. This time I'm gonna use maybe like, try the same one again. Seemed like it was gonna look pretty cool, but. Look at that. Man, I wasn't going to do it, but I think I might connect these. What would that look like? I could do it, try to get it straight on, like that. Or I could like offset it somehow. Give it a real like spiral effect. I mean, it's a spirograph, so spirals are good, right? Why don't we offset it? How far? I'm thinking like good angle like that. Let's try it. We have to do this 48 times now, unfortunately. Now that we've committed. It would be nice if I was good enough at watercolor mixing to get 48 different colors in a rainbow, but I don't think I can do that. Real careful not to go to the wrong place. Oh no. Okay. Well, alright. I messed up, so we're going to have to improvise. And what that means is we're gonna do. Okay. And right after I said it too. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is, okay, I'll just continue and then I'll come back around and do something to make that look okay. It does not look that great, unfortunately. I might have to give this another shot. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll continue for a little bit and then come back and see what my fix looks like. Okay, let's see what the fix looks like. So the problem is I went here, so if I continue doing that, so I went there, goes there, then this one also needs to go there, yeah. So like this, and then this one here, this one here. This might look okay. Actually, you know what? That might look even better once it's all done. I bet this is gonna look pretty cool. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Happy little accident, right? Okay. I'm gonna continue doing this so that I get at least the first pass done correctly the rest of the way. Okay, I need to be careful. I hear a lot of noises outside and it distracts me sometimes. Honestly, I was kind of curious what it would look like to connect it to multiple points anyway, so now we know. This is upside down, probably make better lines. Okay, now I'm gonna go back around and do these corrections. In my mind, I can imagine what this could look like painted. You know what I wish I had? The little, I mean, I could do marker. So there's little water brush marker things that people use that would give me more control over the color, but I think we're gonna just go for it. That is a very intense spirograph right now. Looks like the turbine on a jet or something like that. Pretty cool. Okay, wow, look at that. Alright, time to do some color tests and then destroy this thing with watercolor. Okay, I want to try this again. That last one was maybe a little bit too colorful for my taste. I did it, but you know, that's life. Anyway, I want to try these other shapes. I think I got a count on how many teeth they have, but they don't say. So we'll see if my count is correct. The triangle one with this one should go around 16 times. Let's find out if that's true, if my count is correct, which I counted 54. I didn't do it by hand, I just put another one around it to see how it lined up. But since there isn't a 54, I can't be sure on this one. It's in between the 52 and the 56, so I would assume 54. Now let's see. Let's see if we get 16 out of this, which I guess that would mean this gets like 8. 1. Man, this isn't sticking down very well. I think I should probably seal that stuff up because maybe it's getting dehydrated or something. I want to try this again because I think something weird happened. That already miscounted. Just either is fine, is possible. There we go. Yeah, so that must have jumped at some point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so 16. So I counted right. This is 54. And then this other one should be 60. I just matched it up with the other 60, so that should be right, but let's try it out. It creates a kind of similar shape. You get that little sort of bone shape at the end, or a little twist is how it kind of looks in this one. So yeah, so 60 gives us 8 in the 96. So those worked out. I don't know if I actually want to use these, but I was kind of curious how they looked. And if I got the numbers right. Now then, second watercolor. I don't know, what... I'm kind of tempted to actually do... Well, let's see. Is there anything in this book that looks fun? Some of these crazy ones, some of these ones where you use these rails look fun, but I don't know if I want to mess with that yet. The Spirograph one, let's try the Spirograph thing. So we're gonna use, take me a second to set this up. Oh, this is like broken. Oh no. I'll have to email them about that. Okay. This will be fun to avoid messing up. Probably gonna need a whole bunch of this stuff. I don't know if it says how many teeth are on the tracks, but I might have to count that up later. I haven't seen those numbers on them. It'd be nice if they printed them on the plastic, like they do on the rings. Let's see, actually I need to do the other half still. Okay, this doesn't seem too sturdy, but hopefully once everything's down. Alright. Now it says to use the 48 on these specific holes. Let's try it out. I'm going to follow their instructions. This must be... Alright, let's see what happens. Very carefully. I bet this is going to be really annoying when I mess it up, inevitably. I take it it's eventually going to make its way back to the beginning. Maybe this pass. I feel like it skipped right there. It did, didn't it? That alone is pretty cool. Oh no. Okay, well we're gonna have some screw ups on this. No surprise there. Ah, I wonder... I don't think we can use the back of this. I should have done this in pencil or something. You know what? Alright, we're just gonna let it go. Well, no, let's just continue. We're gonna try again. We're gonna try again. We're starting over in 2. I'm gonna have to screw some of them up. Alright. And so then 3. I think we need to go all the way to 9 to get the pattern that's in the book. That'll be fun. Seems like it goes around twice before it kind of... Or maybe 3 times? It goes around a few times before it lines back up. Jeez. Man. I think it'd be nice if these were just a little bit thicker so they wouldn't want to jump above or below so much. What is right there that it wants to do that? I don't understand. Try going the other way. It's starting to look like kind of a mess in the middle. Although, looking at their image, I can see why. Alright. I think we did get back to that, so call that completed and go on to 5. I get the feeling that this is not working correctly. Oh man. That's so aggravating. Alright, let's go back the other way. And there's that. Alright, let's go to 6, I think. We're just going to continue with it and then I'll try and figure out what I'm doing wrong. Here, I'm going to just go the other way. Seems to work better this way for some reason. It really wants to jump right there. Man, that is aggravating. If I hold the pen at an angle, it'll kind of like force it down. No, then it just wants to go up under it. This is not working out like the photo. Oh, I'm supposed to move the tooth to the right for... Okay. Messed that up. I didn't read all the instructions. This goop. I wonder if I had too much goop under the bottom. I don't know. I might hate to waste paper. I should have tried this on other paper first. So I think what I'm gonna do is, with this piece is save it for later and doodle all over it and then paint it, just so that something comes of it. But I'm actually going to move on and try another one. Yeah. Let's try this on normal paper first before we try it again on. Before we try it again on watercolor. Before we try it again on watercolor paper. It'll probably work just fine on this paper for some reason. So I think part of the problem is that it just doesn't work very well with that pen. The pen wants to get under it and lift it up, and it's really easy to let that happen. I'm gonna keep trying to get this to work. I don't know, I might try a few different pens. It'd be really nice to find a nice dark black pen that works with this. Let's just try using a thicker line, even though I think a thinner line would look better. I'm gonna just try a thicker. So I was using his 0.03, I'm gonna use a 0.05 and see how that looks and how it works out. It's still really small compared to the whole. It already wants to ride up. And it could be something other than the pen. It could just want to do that. I mean, maybe it's just a matter of being just slow and careful and continuously tapping it back down. Should probably try it with one of the pens they sent and see if it has the same problem. My guess is it actually will, but there's only one way to find out. You have to constantly tap it down. Patience is key. Oh, patience. So easy to get little tiny mistakes. Also, right now I'm not too worried about that. I just want to get this to happen. Once I can get it to happen, I'll worry about the mistakes. I'm gonna go back around one more time. But in total, I think we have to go around this 9 times. Or we have to do 9 loops. There's 2. 1. Nothing it up on the 9th is going to really, really suck. There's a kit you can get that's full metal. I wonder if that works better. I mean, I think it's just supposed to be flashy, but it might actually work better. The ring would be a little bit heavier. It might want to sit down better. Alright, there's third one. Careful and slow. Careful and slow. Careful. And the thinner line would look nice. Well, the thick line is definitely very intense. We'll see what it looks like when it's done. If we ever get it there. Oh. A little mistake like that's okay. Well, that's a bummer. I don't really see this thing happening. Like, the way it looks in their picture is not happening. It's totally not happening. So, okay, let me see. We have, it's set up the way they say. It has to be the top left curve. Wow, how would you even know to figure that out? I might have used the wrong starting point. Okay, let's try again. I'll try using their pen just to see what happens. I got over hopeful. Blah 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 blah. Okay, whatever. How now? It's really annoying when it messes up, and it messes up so easily, but I'm gonna go for it again on watercolor paper. Alright, so I think what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna go ahead and do this again. I'm gonna on the watercolor paper, and I'm gonna use pencil, and then if I mess up, I can erase. And then I'm gonna watercolor over it, and then I might ink some by hand on top. We'll see. This might actually look interesting too, because it doesn't have it won't have the spirograph in the end, but it'll have whatever shape that creates. So let's give it a shot. This actually has some potential, I think. Okay, their instructions are clearly wrong or misleading somehow. I'm going to sort of read through the entire book, I guess, and try and figure out. Maybe I'm misunderstanding something. I think when they say draw patterns with the red pen, they don't mean going all the way back to the beginning, but then I don't know what they mean. Do they mean going around once? I really don't know. So I misunderstood the instructions about how you were supposed to move it to the right for each step. And looking back through the instructions, I was able to find a better example in one of the earlier ones. I think if you did the book in order, you would understand that better, but if you just jump in and do a later one in the book, there's a good chance you're going to misunderstand the instructions. Okay, that last watercolor didn't turn out so great, so we're gonna try again. I'm gonna do something simpler, and this track is a pain to use, so I'm going to do something a little bit more basic and see what else we can do with it. Okay, I'm gonna use this 63 count one, and I'm just gonna kinda see what happens. I'm gonna line it up, and then I think I'm gonna do this thing where you sort of move it. Okay. So, we already messed that up. I don't know what to do about that. I'd like to use, oh my god. I'd like to use other pens than what they sent, but these nibs just don't. Let me, oh my god, okay. Well, I'm just gonna call these both screwed up and move on. I may try and do something with those. I have both these screwed up ones. I don't know. If it was any other kind of drawing, I'd probably just figure out someone to fix it, but I don't really know of any way to make it look good right now. Or even look like anything but a screwed up spirograph. I really wish I could find some way to make that not happen. Alright, let's try it with a ballpoint on this paper. Really? Oh my god. I want to like doing spirographs, but they're just so annoying. Maybe you really just have to use... Their pen is very strange. So maybe you really just have to use their pen. Is there something about it that, I mean, that worked. Seems like once you get it going, I don't know, maybe it just takes some practice and warm up, but alright, I'm gonna try this. We'll at least get to see what we were going to get. Okay. I mean, not the most amazing art anyway. Wow, maybe I'm just not. This is so annoying. I don't know what to say about it. It's annoying. I've tried doing it slowly, I've tried doing it quickly. Tried using both hands to kind of guide it. Let's try a fountain pen just to see what happens. I don't think this is going to go any better, but I'm just curious how it'll work out. Okay, yeah, that's better to go. I'd like to make this work better somehow. So these pins have a very thick nib, and it's a strange looking nib. I'm not really sure how it works, but I think it seems like it's designed to sort of fill the hole so that there's not a lot of room. I wonder if I could just buy other colors of these pens, and maybe that'll help me solve the problem. Alright. It works so much more nicely with the actual Spirograph pens. I spoke too soon. Maybe I just was going too fast. I got overzealous. Wasting paper here. Okay. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna keep trying until I get these to work out with other pens. Let's get back to the 144 or the 96 on the inside and just use the 40. I'm just gonna keep trying. I think like part of the problem is I might be putting weird pressure on it, so I'm just gonna do like face down. Instantly slipped. Okay. I do think part of it is that the end of this pen is just so thin that it can easily get under it. This does seem to be going better. Popped up there, but I've managed to save it. So I'm just slowing down, going real smooth. So other than that beginning mess up, that went well. I know I got this to work the other day without too much problem, so something I'm doing must be. It seems like part of it is getting it going smoothly. It popped up and I had a little bit of a error there. Popped up again. Let's try it with the metal one. The metal ones are good enough. If the metal ones help, I may be tempted to order the metal set. Depending on how much it is. I have no idea how much it is. I mean, it seems nicer. It seems like it wants to stay flat. I mean, I'd be easily willing to pay twice as much for the set, because I think it was like $20 or so for ones that don't have that problem. It seems to be going pretty well. Oh man. This is going to have a lot. I didn't look at how many this was going to have, but I get a lot of them. So I think, yeah, pointing it straight down seems to work. I googled and found some people saying online that that would help, but they also say that these kinds of pens are just prone to doing that. This paper, you know, I mean, it's not a big deal, but it, like when one of these takes, you know, 5 minutes or a few minutes to do, and then you blow through a sheet of watercolor paper, which is, you know, not the cheapest paper, it's really frustrating. So I do think the metal one does work a little bit better with this pen. Both fortunately and unfortunately, because that makes me want to buy the metal set. I mean, I haven't had it right up once yet. After this, let's try it at an angle now. I mean, angle is probably not a good idea, and that does make it right up. I mean, it makes sense that an angle is kind of a problem. Try to tape this paper down. You also have to move kind of slowly. It's easy to want to rush. It seems to be consistently working pretty well. Alright, that's going to go back around a whole bunch of times. We're going to skip that. Let's see, let's try it here. Or let's try try again with a plastic one and see what happens. So, point straight down. This is the 48 and 96, so it goes around twice, I guess. Oh, it just makes ovals. Okay. Let's try one that does a little bit more than that to see. I think it did right up one time. Let me try again over here where I can really see. Turning up a little bit, but I think it's done. Okay. So I think pointing it straight down does help a lot. So let's give it another shot on watercolor paper. Wow, that looked okay. Okay, but that's what you get. Anyway, I'm gonna do that, and then didn't quite line that up very well. That's fine. Okay. Let's see where that's lined up. Yeah, there isn't. I wonder if I'll try this. So to make those ugly tips that are cut off look better, I'm gonna try and do this sort of like tangent line thing with it and see what that looks like. Ugh. You'd think the angles would continue pretty evenly, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't measure this very accurately. Just go with it. This could end up looking pretty cool. I don't know what I'm gonna do to paint this, but I really want to like this, but I just kind of don't. So, yeah. Well, that's how you learn. I'm sure somebody would like this, but I'm not that person, I guess. I think the spiral part bumped up from the watercolor. Anyway. So I got an interesting lesson out of this experiment, which is something I wasn't going into it expecting to get. Which I learned that watercolor is very imprecise. It's more suited to things like doodles and sketches than it is to sort of precise art. Which is, I mean, that's where I usually see it, is very loose sort of works. Especially like you see it in some concept art, you see it in a lot of people's doodles when they add color, and then watercolor sort of like landscape paintings and things are always a bit looser than other forms. I mean, it's not surprising by the nature of watercolor, There could be something that contrasts. I'm not sure if I can find it right now, but it's something I'll definitely think about. So I was going to be done there, but I decided to go ahead and go back and play around with this some more. I tried with a much thicker pen, and then I tried using some markers along with it. And I think some of this stuff wasn't great, but there's probably something there. I'll play around with that some more in the future. In the end, I went back and took some of those spirographs I had messed up on watercolor and painted a couple of them. I didn't love these, but I felt like, you know, they turned out okay. I just kind of slapped some paint all over them and then doodled on top of it. And the big one came out kind of interesting. It's a bit weird, but, you know, some people like it, so. I do plan to do more of this in the future. I did end up ordering the metal Spirograph set, so I'll probably be opening that soon. And then I have some ideas for how to address some of the problems I was having, especially with the pen slipping in the hole. I think I'm going to try putting something around the nib of the pen to make it fit better. And then I do want to play around with more. I do want to play around with creating more of the spirographs and doing more art on top of them. Alright, thanks for watching.